Farm Forward is who reached out to me. And that's when you talk about like clickbait, this, that, and the other. Yeah, this right here is to drive attention towards this bill. In the debate, we call it the internal link. You see what I'm saying? So I'm using bacon. Yeah, I'm using bacon and cancer as the internal link to talk about this particular policy. We're going back and forth about the impact level. You see what I'm saying? You're saying the impact is this. I'm saying the impact is that. What is the internal link between what you're talking about? And are you sending misinformation, disinformation based off of how you're talking about the impact?
Welcome back to Making It Awkward. I'm Jessica Wilson, clinical dietitian and author of It's Always Been Ours. You can find me on Instagram at jessicawilson.msrd. You can watch the show on YouTube, where you can also catch the videos you'll hear in a bit. This is a fully independent podcast supported by the members of the Patreon community. When you join as a paid member for as little as $3 a month, my dad will give you a shout out on the show. You can also support the show by rating it on your podcast app and writing an Apple Podcast review. You can email the podcast at makingitawkwardpod@gmail.com. And another way to support the show is to buy awkward merch from my website, including stickers and shirts that say, I came, I saw, I made it awkward. Today's episode is the first release of my conversation with the conscious Lee. This is just the first part of an episode series asking whether science is debatable and discussing influencer culture. A quick breakdown of a multi-part episode for new listeners. I often invite people to the podcast who I disagree with, but still want to hear from. Good examples are Dr. Robert Lustig telling us that it's better for people to starve than to eat a can of ravioli. Another is Dr. Kelly Brownell telling us that sugar is the same thing as crack cocaine. At the beginning of these conversations, if I can tell that a guest is more interested in telling me something rather than a conversation of curiosity, I focus on building rapport with the guest and making them feel comfortable to share all they want me to know, rather than me interjecting and trying to share my concerns after every sentence. I'll typically match language. For example, in today's case, I use the term big bacon and the idea that bacon causes cancer until there's a good place for me to introduce the ideas of association and correlation. There's often a lot to unpack in these conversations, and I publish a second or even third episode in a series inviting guests to share what they heard and also my full analysis and the bigger picture. I use a gap between episodes to allow time to receive emails and voice memos of listener thoughts and feedback to share in the follow-up episodes as well. I wasn't sure if this conversation would end up being multiple parts when I invited the Conscious Lee to the show. This is the Conscious Lee's video that led us to our conversation.
Bacon, sausage, ham, and hot dogs. The WHO all classifies, the WHO being the World Health Organization, all classified as being in the same cancer group as cigarettes. Those are all the things we know that cause cancer. And that's not a fringe study either. That's the most authoritative health body on the planet telling y'all what? Right? But here's what they ain't even trying to tell you. The problem starts before the meat even is processed. American pork producers use the same drugs to make pigs grow faster. The drugs that are banned in 160 countries. Not restricted, banned. The people in the back. Other countries won't even touch American pork if it has them drugs in it. You got animals that are raised on drugs the rest of the world won't even allow. Processing the products that the World Health Organization says cause cancer. And when voters in California, Massachusetts, and Ohio passed the bill saying that at minimum animals have to be raised more humanely, guess what Big Pork did? They went to Congress. Sneaky. That's the Save Our Bacon provision. It's buried in a federal agriculture bill that would permanently strip states of the ability to set their own standards for how meat is produced. Think about that. Not only is it a chuckle to states' rights, it's the name that is deliberate misdirection. It's not saving our bacon. It's saving the industry from having to answer to millions of voters that say no to extreme animal cruelty and wanting clean meat. Every time somebody draws a line, Big Pork tries to redraw them out. The Save Our Bacon provision is the latest move. And when they can't kill regulation, they find ways to trick us with marketing. Then I came across this concept called humane washing that come from this group called Farm Forward. On my mama, I know a finesse when I see it. The labels just like cage-free or humanely raised or natural are far from helping us make informed choices, and it's actually hoodwinking and bamboozle. The meat industry has purposely manufactured these terms to trick us. But let me sprinkle more context though. Humane washing happens when companies market animal products to conscientious consumers. Yeah, using all type of deceptive packaging and labeling to create an illusion of good animal ethical welfare. That's just like this old bill that's hoodwinking and bamboozling. It's called Save Our Bacon Act. Education is elevation.
Now, there was a lot going on there. I was most concerned with the initial claims of bacon causing cancer, because in the age of Make America Healthy Again, people can say whatever they want on the internet, and if people trust them, it becomes the whole truth. The two of us do agree that the World Health Organization lists the consumption of processed meat as a carcinogen. The WHO also says that processed meat refers to meat that has been salted, cured, fermented, smoked, or processed in other ways to enhance flavor or improve preservation. The WHO does not say anything about chemicals or a distinction between meat in the US or other countries. And the WHO's report comes from the International Agency for Research on Cancer group, which classifies what it calls substances to communicate whether they are carcinogenic to humans. The consumption of processed meat is in category 1 based on the strength of the evidence. Other substances in that category include alcoholic beverages, general workplace exposure for firefighters and painters, leather dust, ultraviolet radiation, including UVA, UVB, and UVC rays, wood dust, estrogen-only menopause therapy, estrogen progesterone menopausal therapy combined, estrogen, progesterone, oral contraceptions combined, and tobacco smoking. I made a reply video with some of this information.
Bacon, sausage, ham, and hot dog.
Mr. Lee?
The WHO all classifies, the WHO being the World Health Organization, all classified as being in the same cancer group as cigarettes.
Sir, you might be telling the truth, but are you being honest? The report you're referencing is over 10 years old. There's also over 100 items in that same category, including hormonal menopause treatment, over-the-counter birth control, wood dust, say from a lumberjack chopping wood, any type of alcohol, and UVA and UVB rays, which we get in sunlight. So while these may be in the same category, it's based on the strength of the evidence in 2015, not on the level of risk.
Other countries won't even touch American pork if it has them drugs in it. You got animals that are raised on drugs the rest of the world won't even allow, processing the products that the World Health Organization says cause cancer.
We actually don't know what it is about the processed meat that is associated with a higher risk of cancer.
And when voters in California, Massachusetts, and Ohio passed the bill saying that at minimum animals have to be raised more humanely, guess what Big Pork did? They went to Congress.
And then all of this seems like clickbait in order to get us to a conversation about legislation and animal welfare. There's a lot of nutrition information and nutrition science interpretation out there, and a lot of it is often race and class coded.
Sneaky.
Food and nutrition can be incredibly stressful and confusing for a lot of people. And as policy educators, I think that if we have to use weird nutrition clickbait in order to get people's attention and buy-in to talk about policy, that says something about us rather than the information itself. And a quick primer on the Save Our Bacon Act, Farm Forward, and humane washing before we get into the interview. The Save Our Bacon Act was introduced by Congresswoman Ashley Hinson of Iowa for us to have a national standard for animal welfare rather than leaving it to states. In 2018, California passed Proposition 12, which prohibits the sale of certain meat and poultry products unless they are produced in compliance with the state's animal housing requirements. And Massachusetts has also passed Prop 3, mandating animal welfare standards as well. Farm Forward's mission is to end factory farming, and according to them, humane washing is the practice of making a misleading claim about the treatment of animals or their conditions. Humane washing efforts can range from using terms like natural or responsibly raised on labels or in marketing. All right, and with that, let's get to the interview. Consciously, welcome to the show.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here.
Thank you so much for being willing to have an offline and in public-ish conversation. Moving from social media to recording takes a lot of bravery, honestly. So much can get lost, and then, there's not a filter over here. So thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank you for having me too.
Yeah. Tell the listeners about all of your experience in policy and debating.
I walked on to the college policy debate team at the University of Oklahoma in 2010. By the time my career was over in 2014, I ended my career in the top as a number 3 debater in the country. For the decade 2010 to 2020. I am a top 20 college Hall of Fame debater as an individual, and me and my debate partner are in the top 20 as a pair as well. In 2019, I won a national championship in California with two amazing debaters. I've been able to work every position at the University of Oklahoma, from graduate assistant to assistant coach to head coach to assistant director to the director. I know a lot about the policymaking process, and I am very interested and invested in connecting dots between what happens politically, socially, economically with Black people and how specifically policy involves in that. I love getting very intersectional. I love getting very interdisciplinary and thinking about how the different industries and different institutions and different organizations, how they operate together. I'm specifically really interested in power and domination. That's what I like talking about. That's what I like thinking about. That's why I was into policy about. That's how I was able to cultivate this Hall of Fame policy debate career, is by getting at power and domination specifically. Looking forward to having this conversation with you, Jessica.
Yeah, I was going to have specific questions about the reel that you made, but everything. First of all, do you remember the reel you made? It was weeks ago, so I don't know if you remember it.
I feel like I kind of remember. I remember talking about the meat, how the meat is carcinogenic, and how a lot of the meat that we produce here in America cannot be exported to other places, and how the World Health Organization is who actually categorized the meat being carcinogenic, and then that's what I remember.
That was fair. And then after that, it went into the Save Our Bacon Act.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. And then after that, you talked about Farm Forward and humane washing of things. Yes. Yeah. Okay. As you mentioned, that was like 5 things all in like 2 or 3 minutes. Was there an entry point of like which one you came to first, or did somebody reach out to you?
The thing I came to first was figuring out if the meme was real or not. So that's like the 3rd time I've made videos about specifically how food is produced here in America, and how a lot of the food here in America, pre-exposes us to having cancer. So that was the entry point into talking specifically about food, dietary, its relationship with cancer, and how that industry works.
Got it. So that industry, can you expand on that one and like the intersection with America? So you were mentioning that industry and how it works, but I'm wondering if you can say more.
To be honest with you, I say it like this. American capitalism is so greedy, they figured out a way to disincentivize the overall health of the consumers. And the bacon industry specifically has been able to lobby and really make it where our policymakers that have sworn to uphold all these different things about us, their constituents, how they have transactionally been able to produce a lot of meat, a lot of beef, a lot of pork, in other foods, but specifically that post was about the meat industry specifically, and about how this bill, the Save Our Bacon Act, would allow for the bacon industry to do a bunch of nefarious things. Specifically, that video was about how the industry was able to lobby with the federal government to not allow for states to be able to regulate, how we get our food on our plates. Farm Forward is the organization that is the opposition towards big meat, big bacon industry. So they having a little political spat, behind how this bill is going to get passed. And Farm Forward is who reached out to me. And that's when you talk about like clickbait, this, that, and the other. Yeah, this right here is to drive attention towards this bill. In the debate, we call it internal link. You see what I'm saying? So I'm using bacon. Yeah, I'm using bacon and cancer as the internal link to talk about this particular policy. And what you and I guess, was going back and forth was, we're going back and forth about the impact level. You see what I'm saying? You're saying the impact is this. I'm saying the impact is that. That's what, like in debate terms, you see what I'm saying? That's what we are having our dialogue back and forth about. What is the internal link between what you're talking about, and are you sending misinformation, disinformation based off of how you're talking about the impact? You know what I'm saying? I'm prepared to say, no, I'm not sending misinformation, disinformation, that the World Health Organization still does qualify this as being carcinogenic. And this is the point that I was being made. If we want to go more into the depths and make more nuanced points, I think that we can make more nuanced points. But I think those nuanced points does not negate the link level of what I'm saying in terms of the World Health Organization says that this meat is cancerous.
Okay, so that's get my attention. Now I'm paying attention. There's an image of bacon and cigarettes. Now I'm looking and listening to what you're saying. And then we get to farm forward at the end. What did you think about my rebuttal that over 100 things are in that same class of carcinogens, and yelling is what it felt like at me about bacon and cigarettes, and having them be literally the same size in that image may have been the truth, which I did say, but it didn't feel like an honest representation of carcinogens.
I would say I'm the affirmative, you the negative. In policy debate, there's a concept called permutation. A permutation says that I made an argument, you made an argument against mine, but your argument actually doesn't disagree with mine, and I can affirm what you're saying and affirm what I'm saying, and you still can vote AF. That's what I would say specifically. It's like, yes, it is true that all these things you're saying are also carcinogenic. It does not negate that this meat is carcinogenic. So we can say all these things are carcinogenic and they are bad, and then vote AF, because you still can vote AF to support this Save Our Bacon Act, to say that it is bad, and to say that American people should be able to not eat cancerous food. You see what I'm saying?
Ooh, okay. Oh, me and my neurodivergent brain. Hopefully I remember both things. So back to we both agree. So both of us were telling the truth. Do you think that yours is an honest representation of the link between cancer, cigarettes, and bacon? Do you think that's an honest presentation or interpretation of the facts?
Yeah, based off the study that the World Health Organization did. I'm aware that you said that it was outdated. I would also present that study has not been negated.
Correct. Absolutely. It is, 2015? It includes data from, I don't know, a decade or so before that. Yes, it still lives up there on the WHO website for sure. What do you think are the impacts, especially when it comes to health, of telling people very loudly that bacon and cigarettes are giving us cancer, like in the same sentence?
I think that in terms of public health, it calls into what I'm gonna call conscious consumption, and makes us be much more vigilant behind what we are consuming, and how things that we know are bad on face value, like cigarettes, may also have some internal link with the ingredients, the chemicals, the things that it has in the cigarettes that's also present in meat. See what I'm saying? So for me,
I sure do.
That's what I would say.
But you said may, so we don't, like, is it the same? Is there tar in bacon?
This right here in debate, I'm gonna respond to you and say, now I think that you're kind of engaging in linguistic semantics, and that you're able to talk about there's a distinction, but the distinction is important but not necessary. I.e., the overall point of the video that I was making was about how there is an industry that is able to impact the consumers, that is not doing us any good, but they're able to do the law. And I think that the analysis I was able to provide for it was able to be persuasive enough to get that point across. And I think that I respect your expertise, the blood, sweat, and tears you've been able to put in being, you feel me, a dietitian expert. You see what I'm saying? And I think that I'm here to learn, but I think that if it's specifically about defending the policy and the analysis on the policy I was putting forward, I'm definitely prepared to definitely defend the interpretation and the internal link between talking very loudly about cigarettes and about meat. And I want to say that is not good, especially with my platform and the size of the platform that I have. Because now I'm able to generate over 5 million people talking about conscious consumption and the internal link between carcinogenic, elements in cigarettes, and how they're also present in meat.
But are they also present? Are they? Like that's important.
Yes. According to the World Health Organization. Yes. Yes. Unless you have something that's better that show me, then I'm saying yes.
Well, we can talk about the other things on that list, the 100 plus things, including sunlight. Like, I wouldn't say that the same thing in cigarettes are in sun, and that's why it's a level 1 carcinogen, or in wine, or in hormonal birth control. Like, so drawing that link between those two in that way doesn't hold up.
So are you negating that there is no relationship between the meat that we consume here in America and a given cancer? That's what I'm defending.
But you're talking about the same things in them and drawing the conclusion because there's chemicals in one and the other. It's the same thing.
Specifically about things being carcinogenic. So the specificity of what it means to be carcinogenic, whatever your interpretation is of that, that's what I'm defending. And I'm not talking about just nebulous, ingredients. There is carbon in this, there's carbon in that. This means all this cancer. No, I'm not doing that. I think that leads to, on social media, sometimes I would say like obtuse interpretations. You see what I'm saying? Where a person is purposely, obtusely interpreting what you're saying in a particular way so they can respond. But it's like, if I'm telling you what the intention of what I was saying, and I'm giving you the analysis of the center of what it was, and you're still saying, what about this? That's what I'm going to defend. That is, I'm going to say that is a purposeful, obtuse interpretation of what I'm saying. And it's not allowing me as the communicator to dictate what the message is or what my analysis is. And of course, that's what we debate about, but that's what my response would be.
No, it's good. So does bacon have the same rate, I guess, of cancer? Like, are they the same risk? Do they provide the same risk of cancer? Like, I could smoke and get cancer, or I could eat bacon every day and it would be the same. Like, are they equivalent when it comes to giving me cancer?
In my analysis, and it's being real in my video, that was me planting my seed of being also an educator. I have a master's degree in education, and I like to plant seeds to force individuals to want to know more about a situation. So to respond explicitly, I did not specify that in my video, and I chose not to specify that in my video, hoping that individuals will want to dig a little bit more deeper to figure out what is the relationship between cigarettes and meat, and why is consciously making this claim about cancer between these two things.
Yeah. What do you think?
Elevation. You see what I'm saying? Research over
I
research.
do.
I hope nobody take for assume what I'm saying is lying. Assume what I'm saying is faulty. Go research and figure out where my claims coming from and how I'm able to make these claims. So to answer that question, I didn't make a claim on that. I didn't make an argument on that. And if I'm keeping up this metaphor, I don't need to respond to what you just asked me in order to win my argument that the internal link between cigarettes, bacon, and the bacon industry being able to lobby a bill that says that you don't get to pick how carcinogenic the meat is on your plate, or your state don't get to choose for it. You see what I'm saying? I made a follow-up video yesterday about how this same bill allows for, like states in Texas where I'm from, it allows for the meat industry to no longer be able to outlaw horse meat. So now this bill makes it where you can be sitting down, you think you eating pork, you think you eating bacon. I mean, you think you eating pork, you think you eating beef, you see what I'm saying? But you eating horse meat. Because this bill was able to roll back the regulations and restrictions. You see what I'm saying? Okay. So I'm just getting deeper and deeper specifically about this bill and about how different things are in this bill.
So you think the pork industry is what makes the processed meat give us cancer?
Yes, in a very, I think it's a much more nuanced than that. But if we simplifying it, yeah, definitely. I think that the pork industry purposely cuts corners to step on their meat like crack, like how crack dealers, you know what I'm saying, sell crack. You step on the work. That's how you make a stretch. That's what they do. They're purposely watering down the product and stepping on it at the expense of consumers getting cancer so they can make more profits. So if that allows for you to simplify it that way and be like, so you think the pork industry getting cancer? Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
To debate that. Yes, I'm prepared to defend that and prepared to have the confidence and being able to, for all the listeners, all the viewers, definitely be able to persuade that. That'd be easy.
Easy. Great. So you compared us to European countries where they don't have all those chemicals, et cetera. So in like Spain and ham, so would their processed meat not be like a class 1 carcinogen because they don't have big pork over there?
We can look up this World Health Organization little thing. We can see specifically, but based on my understanding now, I would say no. And I would go a step further and say that the meat industry here in America, they have lobbyists and they have bureaucracies and interest groups that would not allow for that foreign meat to come here and for them to have competition. They say like free market. They say they like to have competition. That's all a lie. What I would like this is what I would say. I would say there are definitely bills in place that doesn't allow for American farmers to have to deal with foreign competitors. That's the reason why so many farmers was pissed off when Donald Trump did that, what he did with whatever country he did and took their meat and this, that, and the other. Like this, now we're starting to get into the nuts and crannies of the policy making process and how it impact how people feed their family.
So to back up, big pork, or actually, what's your understanding of what big pork does that makes it cause cancer here and not other places? Like what's the difference?
That's what, if I'm being real with you, that's what I came here for. I understand, like in my mind, wisdom is being able to understand the limits of your knowledge.
Oh, okay.
The way you presented your analysis in your rebuttal, so I'm prepared to defend X, Y, and Z as an educator and a debater. I understand when information being presented to me that has nuance and that is not a part of what I just presented. You see what I'm saying?
Okay.
So the reason why I came to this conversation specifically is to learn, specifically to learn the differences. And I can tell you know something I don't know. See what I'm saying? So I was hoping that in this conversation, I will be able to learn this a little bit more. You can plant a seed or something, and I can go water it myself and give it, you feel me, all of the sunlight it need to be able to, you know what I'm saying, blossom. But it was like, I don't know the science. You see, I'm not a science guy. I'm a politics, history, theory guy. So I'm hoping that you was going to be able to put me on game and learn me some things when it came to the science of what I was saying and specifically what gave you hesitation. And being real, what I thought was clever what you said something like this. And I still remember you said something like, you're being truthful, but are you being honest? And it was like, you know what? The debater and the linguist in me wants to investigate what you mean by this. And I want to situate the tension that I have in these two worlds that I have that I'm in. As a debater, it's like, that was some semantics. That is what we call a claim with no warrant. What's the impact and what is the warrant to that claim? You said something about facts and honesty, and what are you saying with that? That's what I'm saying. They investigate with that. But the other one was like, but as an educator, as a former English teacher, you know what I'm saying? Shout out to my former English student. I taught 9th and 10th grade English for only 1 year. It's only 1 year. But I taught it, you know what I'm saying, for 1 year. Still count. I taught it for the whole school year too, you know what I'm saying? But you know, from a rhetoric standpoint, I was like, that was kind of a bar. I gotta holler at her. That was a bar. You gotta give credit. You see what I'm saying? And it was like, she coming at me. Much. But that was pretty poetic. I gotta hear her out.
Thank you. Quick facts on the what causes cancer, we actually don't know. Some guesses are when the saturated fat that's in like more processed meat than otherwise, like Spam and bacon, they're higher fat meats. When that oil like sizzles on a grill, some of that can become carcinogenic. But also if we put like vegetables or anything, pork or otherwise, like the sizzling, the cooking, that like charring for any type of fat can be carcinogenic. So, I mean, there's that. It could be the association between saturated fat. Some people make the argument that it's the nitrates that we use to cure meat. But when we look at that WHO report and then the sources cited for why bacon made it on the list and in its review has continued to be there, we don't know. Like, they haven't taken apart and which is a wild thing about nutrition science, right? Like you and I, you would have to eat bacon without nitrates, and I would have to eat it with nitrates for the rest of our lives and see who got cancer. And we'd have to do the same, like everything else. So it's like, yes, there might be an association between these two things, but also, right? Like, what about class when it comes to processed meat? When it comes to other cultures, like 1,000 other things, well, 100 on that list could cause cancer that impact, you know, people who are more likely to rely on processed meats rather than fresh meats, right? So where does, like, we're not giving
I just get that, like, what words in debate terms you asking me, Mr. Lee, what is the bright line between what you consume and it doesn't do cancer, and what you consume and it starts to give you cancer. And what I'm hearing you saying is there is not enough data for you to be able to even make that claim because we don't know. What I say in response is the reason why we don't know is because of the nefarious bacon industry. They have they have all the incentives and all the motive to make sure we never get the information.
Interesting. How would that work?
That's what I would say. That's what I would say.
How would that work? Like, what would
my bad. Ask the question. I'm cutting you off. Apologies.
No, it's okay. Like, what would big bacon be doing to researchers on college campuses who, trust me, really want to tell us how bad bacon is, and they keep trying to keep trying to look for ways to tell us to stop eating bacon. But like, how does big pork or like influence that research? What happens?
Remember the end of that video you talking about? I talked about, what's it called? Meat washing, whitewashing, what I called it? What it was called?
You called it humane washing.
Humane washing.
Yeah.
So humane washing would be the methodology that the big meat industry is able to do in terms of the PR. What do we tell the people to make sure that we're able to do this? They would humane wash how we're able to see the food. Think about how a lot of the companies, a lot of big oil industries, how they're able to do a lot of greenwashing. How it's like, hey, what you have is capitalistic at its structure, and at the root, it causes CO2 emission and climate change. Now you're trying to sell it back to the people as if it's something good for the environment. And it's like, no, you cannot have capitalist solutions for capitalist problems. In this instance, we're going back to the bacon. It's like, hey, listen, y'all have an incentive to make sure that anything that could threaten your profit and threaten how we consume your meat should never come to fruition. So we see they call the act the Save Our Bacon Act. And the act is literally making it where they're able to sabotage the quality of bacon we have. The bill itself is kind of illustrating the humane washing. You know what I mean? I think to get more into it, it's like, hey, we know that big meat industry is able to impact how much the federal government funding gives to research. So if I'm able to tell Congress, or able to tell Senate, or able to tell them, I have $250,000, $1 million that says you're going to vote on this bill that has a provision that said we can't give too much funding towards research for cancer, that's what happens. I would even argue that one of the reasons why we don't have more information and we don't have this data to be able to say with certainty what causes cancer and what does not cause cancer is because there are too many industries that are seen, the government say corporations are people. And money is speech.
Yes.
Corporations are people and money is speech. So if you have some research that could impact how a people give words, you ain't getting that. You see what I'm saying? So for me, it's like we have a circumvented problem that says that we need more data to have more information about what is the actual root cause for cancer. But we also have multiple different industries that are invested. We seen that now. There's a decision with Monsanto. You see, whatever you call them.
Roundup.
Roundup. You seen that, right? We see that one of the things.
I was in Washington, D.C. for that rally at the Supreme Court.
Think about it though. Not only do they not want to take accountability, they also don't want us to have more research on how their product causes cancer. They don't want to take accountability of what we know.
I mean, they don't want the research, but the argument is not that. The argument is that they have immunity and protection for people who are going to sue them, right?
I'm arguing both. I'm arguing two things. I'm arguing that they don't want to have the accountability of people that want to sue them. I'm also thinking this too. I think that this right now, we have a functional concession that says that there is some correlation and causation for us to be able to make a stay to say that there's enough data that says that this company has something in their products that's causing cancer. We cannot negate. You and I both agreeing we are this is a concession that even if on the big picture you want to say that we don't have enough data, there are particular instances like this one right here with Roundup that shows no, but there is a certain concoction or a certain element or criteria that we can point with evidence that says that this causes cancer.
I've had glyphosate episodes, so I'm gonna table that one, and I can have Trampus Harmon, our farmer in residence from my podcast, come back, and he's already talked about that. But let me go back to cancer, and we continue to use the words causing cancer, but we don't know that there is that bacon is causing cancer. We know that it is associated with higher levels of cancer. We know that people who eat processed meats have a higher incidence of cancer. That's the correlation, because correlation is not causation. Associations do not a cause make.
I agree. I'm listening to you. I agree that it's not cosmic, but I think us being able to say specifically,
yes,
rewind it back a couple of seconds, but
yes,
we can say that there is a correlation between this process and consumption of meat and being exposed to cancer. I won't say cause. I'll say expose.
Are we exposed to cancer, or are we more perhaps likely to get cancer if we, like, similar with sun? Like, I don't think sun is causing cancer, but I think like the impacts on our skin cells can begin a process.
I want to make some link defense right now. The World Health Organization, and in my video, what I'm talking about in terms of carcinogenic, you and I both know that the World Health Organization is not saying the sun is cancerous or carcinogenic, and you and I both know that I'm not saying whatever. I think that this is what I'm talking about in terms of like obtuse, like purposeful obtuseness. It's like, hold on. Now let's just sit with this metaphor of the sun. Do you think that the source that I have would argue that the sun is carcinogenic like meat? I don't think that.
The list just lists things with the strength of the evidence, the strength of the research. It doesn't list the cause. Like the list is UVA and UVB rays. It's like which we get from the sun. So like the list of 100.
Do you think I'm putting UV rays and whatever causes cancer or whatever leads to cancer, exposes to cancer in meat on the same playing field? Do you think that?
Yes.
I don't think that. And I don't think none of my viewers would take that video as that.
What do you think is the difference between everything else on that list and bacon?
You tell me. I don't know. You tell me. Like I don't know.
Well, I'm wondering why you would say that bacon causes cancer while, hormonal birth control, which is also on that same list. Like it's a list over 100 things, and it's like the strength of the evidence of association, not causing. It's not causing, like association. So like if I were to say that bacon causes cancer, I would have to say that wood dust causes cancer. I would have to say that hormonal birth control causes cancer, not that there's like a risk of cancer the more I say stay outside or the more I'm breathing in environmental pollutants, right?
Yeah, I would say this is why I implement my concept of conscious consumption and say that we should have more information on what particular levels of different elements are able to expose us or associate us to cancer versus other ones. But I think that in my 2.5-minute video that I had, I wasn't able to give a whole bunch of scientific specificities on the differences on, UV rays,
birth
I didn't,
control.
I didn't do that. Like birth control, it didn't have that. But what I will say to make sure we understand this, that within my politics and within my platform, I always have time to specifically talk about things like reproductive justice. You know what I'm saying? Things like climate change. In this particular video, this was the issue or impact that I was talking about. I want to be clear with all listeners or whatever. I'm not one of those cisgender straight men that's like, forget reproductive justice. I'm like, nah. In this video, it was just about the meat and health. There are videos that I make though that's about, specifically, reproductive justice, reproductive freedom, thyroids, abortion, like all that, it's being real.
Yeah. No, I mean, wood dust was one of them. It was, the toxins in our environment. And I'm like, when people hear me say or like question bacon in this way, they'll be like, so you're pro bacon and think everybody should be eating bacon if you're saying anything about what I said?
See, that's what I'm saying. That's purposeful obtuseness. Like, I think that's them responding that way is like being like, you are purposely responding in a, you see what I'm saying? Like,
well, you did say to me, you said your center point in this video is bacon bad and the big bacon industry is bad for politics. And then you asked if I disagreed. And my point was not any of these things, right? My point was that you have said the truth along in this video, but was it an honest interpretation of what I assume Barbara Ward gave you the report and that you perhaps didn't go on the WHO website? I don't know.
No, you asked me my entry point. My entry point was I came across the information and came across the impact and came across the intersection before anybody reached out to me. The video that you're talking about is like number 3 of the videos that I'm making specifically about this.
Okay.
You know what I mean, so I'm already done my own research to be able to talk about what I'm getting into. And this is the reason why they reached out to me. I had a video that was like 30 seconds about 6 months ago that went viral of me talking about this specific thing. And somebody in the comment section tried to talk about that's not true. Actually, it's not banned in this many countries. I'm like, no. Here go 5 sources that says this. So I want to be clear, and I'm answering defensively because I want to make sure. My motto is research over me search. I have a whole bunch of confidence in my portable skills, especially when it comes to intensive research. Don't nobody got to hand me no research. I got 2 master degrees and a Hall of Fame debate career that shows that I do the research. You see what I'm saying? It's just for me to be able to make the point that I need to make. I had enough information to be able to make a persuasive point about how everyday people that eat bacon and eat beef should also think about how policies influence the quality of meat that they eat, whether it's beef or whether it's pork. That was the point of the video. And I think that I was very good at being able to convey that.
I don't think so. It felt like you had 3 videos in one. It was like, if you eat bacon, it's like cigarettes, hard pivot, Save Our Bacon Act, going through Congress, which it wasn't actually going through Congress at that time. It had been in the Senate Farm Bill, but the House had the Farm Bill and it was not in it. Like they took it out, which happened actually before your video posted. So it wasn't actually going through. So, and oh, go ahead.
I said, I see what you did there.
Thank you. But yeah, it felt like 3 different videos. You were like yelling about this, which you had the phrase starts with an I. And it was like this dramatic turn to Save Our Bacon, and what Big Pork is trying to do. And then it was like humane washing over here. And I was like, I just got lost. Like I didn't, I went away with like, what did you want me to know? Did you want me to be nicer to pigs? I feel like I should be nicer to pigs when we end, like the end was, about humane washing. And I was like, I don't.
What I would say about that is as a content creator and somebody that has millions of followers, I always understand there is a risk of somebody not being able to follow the dots that I'm connecting. And I also understand there's always a risk for somebody to not agree with my interpretation. What I would say is that me, my analysis, my platform, the way I come, I'm an acquired taste. It's not for everybody. So there's a high chance that video, the way that it was threw 5 different things in at one time, the way that it was screaming and yelling with the tone, there is a complete appropriate way for that video to not have been for you. The video got like 20, 30,000 likes and it got thousands of comments. So it resonated with people. I think that the value of the video being able to resonate with thousands of people has value regardless of how you're able to be like, well, I don't think it quite did what you think it did. And it's like, well, we can disagree. We can have a conversation and dialogue about it, of course, but it's like we can disagree. But I think
so. You think they got to the end in the comments? It was like, be vegan. Big pork is bad. Nobody said, from what I saw, nobody was talking about humane farming and the specifics of the Save Our Bacon Act. It seems like people got the first little bit and were like, everybody be vegan or like grow your own, whatever it is. Like we can't trust anybody. And I was like, I don't know if that was so. There, the engagement was there, right?
Those comments particularly, doesn't apply to the data that I think substantiates how valuable the video was. So that video was also sending people to a link in the bio to learn more about the Save Bacon Act. You see what I'm saying?
Got it. Okay.
And you don't have enough data to be able to say if it resonated with the audience enough to know whether or not they gave a damn about the end of the video about humane washing or about the Save Bacon Act. You see what I'm saying? And just understand the last thing is this. In the videos, it's always, that conversion rate. You see what I'm saying? That conversion rate probably don't be number 2%. 3%, 1%. You know what I'm saying? For every video, no matter how good the video was, everybody listening. If everybody listening to this, you want to be a content creator or you want to be able to try to understand the utility or the effectiveness of a content creator, all of us are dealing with the conversion rate of less than 10%. Most of your audience does not get to the end of the video.
Oh yeah. Yes. So,
Whether
but tell
you a
me,
beauty
tell me about this.
creator, yeah, like
Tell me about this conversion rate.
hard.
Like, where do y'all get together and talk about these metrics? And like, tell me how. Like, what is influencer world like?
Right now, I'm doing a social media campaign with Farm Forward. At the end of the campaign, we're going to talk about what we thought that worked with effective, what we think that wasn't effective, and they're going to give me some data. They're going to show me how many clicks this video gave, how many people, you know what I'm saying, they did this. We're going to be able to see all of that. And this right here, we start talking about political education. It's like, I'm just trying to connect the dots. I'm not going to be the person that's going to be able to tell them the science like you are. You see what I'm saying? I'm hoping to make enough content to send them towards you, and they can learn more about the specificity of what science actually causes, associates, leads to cancer, and what do you actually mean between the distinctions between saying something is associated, something exposes, and something causes. That's not my ministry. That's your ministry. And how I made this far is being able to understand my ministry and my lane. And my lane is my lane.
So you said your interpretation, and I'm wondering if there is actually an interpretation of science that is not like impacted by race and gender identity and all of these things. So when we say like interpretation, like ideally there's not an interpretation. Ideally there is science, there is facts.
No, I would say as a debater, we always had facts, but the reason why, one of the portable skills that debate taught me is that interpretation is how we're able to frame how facts are understood and how we're able to frame how people come to conclusive facts. We know even within the science community, y'all argue about how we should conclude on particular evidence. You see what I'm saying? So we can acknowledge and agree. You see what I'm saying? That cancer is bad. And that there are some things, you see what I'm saying, within processed meat, whether you're talking about pork or beef, that's not good for your health. We can agree with that. Now we can debate on the methods. We can debate on the specifics of the chemicals. We can even debate about the specifics of the words. Does it lead versus associate versus cause? We can debate about that. All these things is what I'm saying in terms of debatable, and it's like I don't think that you have presented something that negates the facts that I have. Like permutation, I can say that too much sun UV causes cancer. That can lead to cancer. Associated cancer, that's bad. I can say that the way this birth control is associated, we also know that there is some relationship between that's bad. We also know that consuming all this processed meat is bad. All these things are bad. You still can vote AF and negate the Save Our Bacon Act. Like we still can, all these things can be true. It's an and, not an or.
Okay. So your video and my video were the ands or not?
Yeah. Your video was the and. Your video was, yes, you talked about the carcinogenic relationship between bacon, but what about boom? In debate, I must have called it a link of omission. It's like a link of, like you admitted these things that also have a link. That doesn't negate my argument.
It didn't.
Like you pointed out,
this is why I said
there are other links. And I'm like, yes, that is true.
Yes, and I said you were true, right? I was like, this is true.
That's why I can say permutation. Like these things don't really disagree. These are like ships passing in the night. We can acknowledge that the way that the meat industry is being able to rig policy and make it where we ain't getting no good healthy. We can acknowledge that while also acknowledging there are other industries and other elements that at different levels.
Okay. To bring us back to how vulnerable we are as Black folks, for any other marginalized folks, and how vulnerable we are to both like requiring knowledge from influencers and people on the internet if we're not going to be believed by our doctors or our doctors not believing pain. And in the age of Make America Healthy Again, like everybody / nobody knows what's happening with health. Do you think that presenting part of a story when it comes to like bacon and cigarettes as like clickbait to get to policy, do you feel like that's an honest interpretation of the science?
Definitely.
Okay.
Definitely. I think that by definition, all content on social media is clickbait. By definition, We all have an attention getter where we're trying to compete with the cat video, the twerking video, the fight video, the video of Trump saying something crazy. You have to compete in the attention economy in order to grab somebody's attention. And what you and I know is that the everyday American, especially everyday Black person, don't give a damn about this type of politics and give a damn about that type of science. So us as curators of content, we are tasked. We are tasked with the mission. How do you catch somebody's attention and get them from 0.5 seconds to the end of the video? You see what I'm saying?
I do.
I think that I would definitely defend the ethics and the morals behind yelling at you about cigarettes and bacon and ending it with talking about humane washing in the policymaking process. I definitely would defend the ethics and morals of that, being honest about it, being able to, like, nothing is nefarious, nobody's being duped or deceived. All this go together, and it's what I call the internal link. I will take credit, I will take responsibility for this. As a debater and an educator, maybe my internal link between how these things all go together wasn't tight enough and strong enough and developed for you specifically, and maybe other people that feel like you. I think moving forward, that's what I can do better. Like, do you have a stronger internal link between these 5 things you're going to talk about in this 2.5 minutes? Me and my neurodivergent brain, that made sense to me. It made sense to me to talk about humane washing and how it all makes sense to me. You see what I'm saying? But I get how it don't make sense to you. And this right here, the debate was like, to me, it made sense. But now you the judge / opponent, it's like, damn, it makes sense to me. It's like, I respect that. This is what I can do moving forward to make it where it make more sense moving forward. I think that's important.
Yeah. I like what you were just saying, and I'm curious, like, if people walk away from this and like go and don't do the research and go off and tell other friends that the bacon that they're eating or the meat at the cookout is causing them cancer and giving everybody cancer and everybody should be vegan, which absolutely happens. That's fine. It's like, whatever.
But I ain't even vegan. So you see what I'm saying? But that person's like, I'm not vegan. I didn't say nothing about being vegan in the video. This right here, that's showing you that interpretations always vary. This one of the most important things I learned from debate is that we all can watch a bull run through here, 5 people, and we're going to have 5 interpretations and descriptions of how the bull ran through. Is it a fact the bull ran through the room? Yes. But there's going to be a lot of different meaning, a lot of different value, a lot of different, you see what I'm saying? And to me, that
I didn't think you were vegan. My vegan friend thought you were vegan because of the way that you were yelling, and she didn't want to go back and listen to that again.
Right now, you know what I'm saying? That order.
Okay.
And don't be wrong. Okay. I've been wrong before. I will be wrong in the future. You know what I'm saying? I want to be clear. I'm not always right. I know I'm not always right.
No.
I'm willing to be wrong. And I would never allow for the possibility of me being wrong to not act.
Okay.
Thank you for calling me out.
Oh, sure.
And I have learned.
My pleasure.
I have learned now, specifically in this, the concept of saying something is caused, something exposed, something leads to, is not synonym specifically, but I'm talking about what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I was using those words interchangeably, and what I'm getting from you is no. When you say something causes something, you got to have enough data to be able to make that claim.
Right.
As an educator and a debater, I concur.
This is amazing. Can we debate again?
Sure, definitely.
Okay.
Definitely. To be honest with you, on some real, where it's like, I did a video I'm gonna send to you in the DM a few months ago, maybe it was last year, that I want to do a part 2 on, that I think that you're showing me from this conversation that the video and the analysis has some blind spots. The video I made was about how the junk food industry here in America moves like the goddamn cartel. I know you familiar with it. I know you know it. I know, not the video, I'm saying, I know you know this concept. I know you know what I'm saying? The video resonated with my audience a lot because a lot of them have never thought about the way that this industry, this junk food industry, get to move like the cartel, literally. Like I will come to your country, hire military, murder all of y'all. For y'all, that's what they do. You see what I'm saying? So
I do see what you're saying.
I wasn't able to speak towards the dietary part of it. I was trying to. You see what I'm saying? I was trying to get at how these ingredients used to be. This product used to have 5 ingredients. Now it's 23.
Right.
I was trying to say something. I don't have the ranking to say it, but I think you do.
This is amazing. I would love any food thing, any health thing. Yes, I'm all over it. I'm excited. I'm so excited.
Yeah, we like experts, man. You know what I mean? We like experts. A shameless plug, man. If you enjoy any of my perspective throughout this, I do a live stream episode every Wednesday morning at 10:30 a.m. Central. I also have a edited video that drop every Sunday. Education is Elevation is what my podcast / platform is called on Substack. Every conversation I have always comes with a related readings, bibliography, as well as some key takeaways. My motto is education is elevation. How do my platform is this? Only 2% of public educators in this country are Black men.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Anything else you want to plug? No, tell us everything.
Come on over, Jessica. That's all I'm saying. Come on over. We got to set up now for you to come over to my platform on a Wednesday morning and let's talk about, you know what I'm saying, misinformation around diets. Because I've been into probiotics, the Olipops and all this. I'm curious, like, hey, how much is this like marketing and how much of this is actually like healthy?
I can't wait. I'm so excited. We could talk about protein maxing too, man. So many things out there. Peptides. We could talk about peptides.
You see what I'm saying? It's definitely some intersections to get into. And what I know is that, like, my degrees is in human relations in adult and higher education. Not in dietary, nothing, not in food.
Clinical
not in science,
dietitian and human physiology.
You see what I'm saying? Yes. I know my ministry. You see what I mean? And I respect that, what you did and how you did it, because it was like, she popping it. Let's respond.
Thank you.
I'm a debater, and I love I love an analysis with teeth.
Okay.
It was clash. It was understood that you disagreed. It was done to me in a very witty but respectful way. You know what I'm saying? It was. I rocked with it. I liked it.
This is a joy. I am so grateful. All right. Thank you so much for coming on, Consciously.
Thank you so much. That was very pleasant. I appreciate you for being a good person.
Thank you. Thanks so much to the Consciously for coming on the pod. I'll be back with guests in a couple weeks to follow up on this conversation. If you have thoughts or feedback that you want to share with me, you can email them and send voice memos to makingitawkwardpod@gmail.com. And also, this was just part of my conversation with the Consciously. We had a more detailed chat about influencer culture and the attention economy, which deserves its own episode. And I'll bring that to you in the future. Until then, friends, get a little UVA and UVB rays and make it awkward. This has been Making It Awkward. I'm Jessica Wilson. You can find me on Instagram at jessicawilson.msrd. You can support this independent podcast by joining the Patreon, linked in the show notes. You can rate, review it. You can subscribe. You can write an Apple Podcast review, which will be read on the show by my dad. This podcast is edited by Jen Jacobs, who is a vegetarian, so doesn't eat bacon. I've been your host, Jessica Wilson, who does. And this podcast is supported by the Legacy of Sacramento Outboard Services.